Welcome to the Perfectly Flawed podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. For those that don't know you, would you like to give a little bit of an introduction as to who you are?
Thanks for having me. My name's Cooper Chapman. I'm 27 years old, grew up in Sydney's Northern Beaches, in a beautiful little town called Narrabeen, and currently live just south of the Gold Coast in Kingscliff. But yeah, I've been a professional surfer for the last 15 years, traveling the world, competing professionally, and now also known for my mental health business, A Good Human Factory, which is something I'm very passionate about, which I'm sure we'll talk about in this podcast. But yeah, that's my quick little blurb about Cooper Chapman.
Awesome. Well, we'll start with the Good Human Factory because it's definitely something that I want to delve into a bit further. So many questions. Let's start with how did it come about?
Oh, okay. I'll try to give you a good longish version of the story. So basically mental health has been something quite important to me and my family growing up. I lost an uncle when I was quite young to suicide. I watched my dad go through quite a lot of struggles when it comes to mental illness, from depression, anxiety, seeing psychologists through my whole teen years. So I was always very fearful of falling down that sort of hereditary line of mental illness. And when I started having a string of bad results in surf events when I was about 2021, I started to really struggle because I realized, well, at the time I didn't realize, but because I just was aligning my purpose with my achievements and my goals in surfing. And when I wasn't hitting those achievements, I was really struggling mentally. And that's when I really started to do a bit of my own research. I was quite fearful to go home and speak to a psychologist because I had a bit of guilt that I lived this perfect life traveling the world as a professional surfer. Like, who am I to go home and see a psychologist? And due to that, I started to read a lot of self-development books and started to uncover all these great techniques and tactics and skills that people use to improve their mental health, all these things that I never had heard about or never really got taught the importance of them at school. And then fast forward a few years, that was all just personal development. It had nothing to do with wanting to start a business. And then in 2018, my younger sister was in year 12 at high school, which is the last year in New South Wales, and she lost a friend to suicide and told us at the family dinner table. And then a week later, she came home and said she lost another friend to suicide. And that kind of really aided me in knowing how important mental health was based on my family history. I was like, far out, I wish I could do something about this. And about 6 months before that had happened, I'd run a few surf camps for Manly Surf School with a bunch of young surfers. And one of the things I did on those camps was taught the kids visualization and meditation as something that I'd practiced for years and something that I knew the benefits of. And had nothing to do with, to be honest, mental health at the time. It was more so I'd taken the kids on these 2-day surf camps where we were surfing for half the day and then training the gym for half the day. And in that gap, to help them just relax and switch off a little bit, would do the meditation. And after the camp, all the parents mostly said the kids loved, out of everything, the most visualization, meditation. And at the time, didn't think much of it. But then when my sister lost those couple of friends, my dad was like, maybe you should try and talk to kids at schools. It's obviously something important to you. It's obviously something that I can see you're passionate about and you're quite good at speaking. I mean, to be honest, looking back, I wasn't back then. And I mean, I still don't think I am. I'm still learning quite a lot, but I just had that burning desire to maybe give back and to do something positive in the community. And yeah, that was what led the Good Human Factory to start. I saw one of my old school teachers that I used to teach me at school, had a meeting with him. He was a good friend actually, and told him my idea. And he's like, mate, there's a big market for that. And me and him were always really pretty close at school. And he was always very entrepreneurial and businessy and had other things going on. And I was very inspired by that. And when I told him my idea, he's like, mate, there's a good opportunity to turn this into a really smart business, not only to help a lot of people, but to be successful in your own way as well. Because he knew that that was something that I had strived for, is to own my own business one day and have a way to give back. So he actually came up with the name, The Good Human Factory. And then from there, I wrote out looking back, a terrible presentation that I thought was worth the money that I charge now. But looking back, I can't believe anyone booked me back then, because I was very naive with the information I'd put forward. But fast forward 24 months and I've done a lot more research. I've built an amazing network around me. I've worked closely with a lot of psychologists, read plenty of books, and done a bunch of courses, and really developed my skills in speaking, communicating, and engaging students in a way that there's not many people doing this at my age, and not many young people, I'd say, inspiring kids to make a positive change. And so often mental health comes from a fear point of view. I think when I was a student, it always came from, this is what anxiety looks like. This is what depression looks like. Here's how to spot the signs. It was never, here's the skills to benefit, to make your life better, to make you a good human, to make you happy. Oh yeah. And good mental health is a byproduct of that. It was always trying to fix a problem in my mind, mental health, when I was ever talked about it at school, which was very minimal at that. So yeah, that's kind of why the Good Human Factory started. And yeah, I'm very proud of how far it's come, but a lot of work yet to do. And yeah, I'm excited for what the future holds.
Yeah, I think it's an amazing initiative that you've founded for yourself. Like, as you said, it's very much a niche that is sort of overlooked. I think that there's a lot of space there that we sort of need to get into a bit more and talk about it more, because I personally don't think it's spoken about enough. So it's really amazing that you've sort of gone into that market and trying to create more awareness. And as you said, like, it seems to be this finding a cure and not really prevention. We don't really talk about those things. And, it could be as simple as doing something for yourself, like what's something you can do to look after you before, you say you should always fill up your cup, and you can't help other people if, your cup isn't full. You can't help others when you've got an empty cup. So doing those things along the way to stop it from getting to that empty point. We don't really talk about those things, and it definitely needs to be spoken about more. So I guess when you started it, did you think, those 2 years ago when you started, did you think it would be where it is now?
Oh, if I'm completely honest, I thought it was going to be far easier than what the journey's been. And that was just me being young and naive, and extremely fortunate for the amazing people and network I have around me. I'm very grateful that I've got people that have, I mean, not necessarily been there with me the whole way, but I've got a lot of great people around me for advice, and a lot of great resources in people around me, whether it be people who have helped me with my merch. I've been able to get good prices on my merch just due to great contacts through friends, being able to get my foot in the door at schools and with certain key stakeholders in government based on my surf career, and getting to know different people based on my surf career. So don't get me wrong, I've been very lucky, but it has been a hell of a lot of hard work. And I mean, for the first 18 months, the business didn't make a dollar. It was all about just a passion. And then I started to realize how important the work I was doing was, and that's kind of been a big driver. And then, yeah, once COVID hit, it really gave me the opportunity to turn it into a bit more of a business and trying to make it something a bit more, something that'll work a bit more as a job for me, something that I can take on full time, and something that can be, that can actually make an impact in the world. So it was definitely not the easiest journey, and I don't think I'm anywhere near where I want to be yet, but I have definitely set up quite a good base, built what I think is a pretty reputable brand now in the industry in its own small little way, which what I've done. But yeah, it's really nice to see that people are starting to notice the work that I've been doing. But the main thing that makes me super excited is the feedback and data that I gather after all my workshops now continues to come back really good, that it's having a big impact on the students. And that's the most important thing, because it was something that I didn't have as a student, and I would have loved to have learned about mindfulness and meditation when I was a student. I would have loved to have been told how important being kind is based on literally all the science we keep getting told nowadays from the government with all the stuff going on, like trust the science. There's so much good science behind all these free things that can improve our mental health, from gratitude, meditation, mindfulness, exercise. There's all these great things, yet it's very, very minimally pushed to us on the positive effect it has on our mental health. So that's where I see myself coming in, to hopefully not just be teaching people, but more so just inspiring and encouraging people to take responsibility for themselves, because there is great resources out there, yet we're not very well equipped to understand how they work.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that is totally valid. You said there that, there's so many more things that you want to achieve. Where do you see the Good Human Factory going in the future, whether that's 1 year, 5 years, 10 years? What do you think's next? What is something you want to achieve?
I've got I love coming up with ideas. This is my favorite thing about being a business owner. I mean, hate saying the word, but entrepreneur, trying to do something a little bit differently. And that is, like I said, I'm very lucky. I've got a great network. So I'm trying to continue to grow my ambassador program. I want to keep getting key athletes, influencers, musicians all people around the community to be ambassadors, to be good humans, to show their fans and their supporters that mental health isn't something that you focus on when you're struggling. Mental health is something that we focus on a consistent weekly, daily basis, because it is something that we need to do if we want to stay on that good end of the mental health spectrum. But I mean, future goals is just to continue to scale up and grow. I mean, I'd love to be filling my weeks with running workshops 5 days a week, because like I said, I've seen the feedback and the data from my workshops, and I understand the importance of it to the students. So the goal is just to continue to grow, continue to book more workshops. I have been approached by a speaking company too, to start doing more keynote speaking, and start expanding my workshops into more half day and full day things as well, which is what I'm excited to do, to continue to develop my skills as a presenter and as a speaker and as somebody who can be a role model to not only younger generations, but my peers and also people in the corporate world who are so caught up in that hustle and bustle of life that they need somebody like myself to bring a little different perspective as to what the importance of mental health. But yeah, that's one project. The workshops is obviously something I really want to grow. I'm really passionate about making cool merch. I think it's really fun making clothing and making items that have a bit more purpose than just something to wear. I like trying to make clothes that have a bit more meaning. So my new program that I'm launching next year is every item sold on my website, I'll do a free workshop for a student. So that's a goal, to use that as a bit of a marketing tactic. So hopefully the merch can grow really quickly and get good quality items with great messaging on it to as many people as possible. And that way I can continue to offer my workshops for free for schools that don't quite have the budget, which is something that I keep running into. A lot of schools aren't allocating any budget to mental health of the students, which is extremely disappointing. But instead of complaining about that, I'm trying to pivot and work out a way how I can offer it for free. And the one workshop is a great way that I can do that. I can pay myself a wage through the merch sales, and then I can go and offer my workshops for free. So that's a growth avenue. There's a million different little ideas that I continue to have. So I'm just going to continue to expand on them, continue to develop my own personal skills, and just hopefully speak to as many students and inspire as many peers of mine to join the kind of movement towards mental health being something that is a practice that we all focus on, just like our health. It should be just as simple as, oh yeah, let's go to the gym together. Oh, let's go down the beach and meditate together. Me and my friends do that now. It's a powerful thing. And it's stuff like meditation, breath work. There's all these great techniques that we can develop over time, and they're not things that are straight away going to work. And I think too many people think, oh, I tried meditation, didn't work for me. Oh, I tried breath work, didn't work for me. It's like going to the gym. If you go to the gym once and run on the treadmill, you're not going to see anything. You need to continue to work on it. Our brain's a muscle, just like everything else in our body. So yeah, just trying to bring light to that and encourage as many people to take on that mindset and that curiosity mindset when it comes to their happiness and their health.
Yeah, for sure. And I can definitely put my hand up and say that I was one to say that, oh, meditation's not for me. I can't do that. And it's something that I've definitely learned. As you said, it's not something that's going to click straight away. It does take time, does take practice, just like any other learning a new skill and anything else. It's the same sort of process. And I think something that really helped me is having those guided meditations to begin, is to do those sort of things. And mindfulness can mean so many different things. Sometimes for me, that's going for a walk without my phone and literally just taking in what's around me and being present in that moment. I think people sort of forget that, oh, you have to sit still and you have to, sit with your legs crossed, and you see all those pictures that are sort of portrayed online, but it doesn't always look that way. It can look so different to so many different people.
Yeah, exactly. It does, like you said, the guided meditations are such a great way to, so many people I think get scared away because they sit still and all their thoughts run crazy. And that's why guided ones are a great way to start to learn how to follow something and follow a mantra, and then you can continue to develop that skill. It's like, if you haven't ever meditated or you've been struggling with what's going on in your mind, think about it like your mind's overweight. The weight's not going to fall off straight away with just one meditation session. It's a continual thing. And then maybe a few weeks down the track, you'll start getting those a bit clearer thoughts. You'll start making a little bit better decisions, and you'll start being a little less stressed. All the positive benefits of meditation aren't going to pop up straight away. And I think that's what so often people expect. But yeah, hopefully people continue to learn new things, and people like myself can help, improve other people's lives.
Yeah, for sure. And you spoke about so many different ways that you want to continue to grow the Good Human Factory. I know that you also have a podcast. Where does that sort of fit into all of that?
Oh, I will talk about the podcast in one second. One other thing that I'm actually excited about growing that I forgot to touch on is I started, and this relates really well to the meditation. I had a thought when I was doing meditation about 6 months ago now, and I was like, surely we can dedicate 1% of our day to our mental health. And like I did some polls on Instagram and everyone's like, yep, I can agree on that. And 1% of your day is 14 minutes. So I started this thing called the 1% Good Club, where every day I send a 10-minute guided meditation. And every night I post 3 things I'm grateful for and send it to the group. And in the last, I'm on day 162, I think today in a row. And over those 162 days, I've grown it to, I think there's 750 members now who every single day write 3 things they're grateful for at night in these group chats on Instagram and get sent a meditation in the morning to try. So it's cool just trying to build a bit of a community and to encourage people from all around the world. They're just Instagram group chats. So if anyone listening wants to learn, or not even learn, but it's more of an accountability group. It's a way that it pops up in your Instagram every night and goes, oh, well, what am I grateful for? It's just these small reminders, these constant mindset shifts and these constant just searching for ways to maintain our mental health. And like you said, just 10 minutes of meditation a day can have such a positive effect. Even if it's once a week, it's just important to sit and be quiet with our thoughts. So that's one thing that I'm definitely trying to grow into next year is these 1% club. I want to grow that into a bit more of a community. I want to start throwing some events where people in that community can come and meet up and do some meditations together, be involved in a community of people who are all dedicated to doing positive things. But the podcast, yeah, I do have a podcast as well to add to my long list of busyness, called Good Humans, kind of still crossed over with the Good Human Factory, still a little bit different, comes under the same umbrella. I actually just shifted from my previous podcasting company to a new group of friends who are helping me with it a little bit. So yeah, I've had 3 months off. First episode's coming back out very soon. So I'm sure by the time this podcast is aired, it'll be back out. But yeah, I just enjoy having good conversations with people, because what I've learned is so often as well with social media and with the idea of what people's lives are like, especially watching people with big profiles, so many people look up to, but then they're not looking up to what the actual person is. They're looking up to the highlight reel of that person. They're comparing themselves and they're getting demoralized that their life isn't as good as this other person. So that's what I try to do with my podcast, is to give good humans a platform to share the journey that they've been through, because anyone who can get to a place of what we'd call success has gone through so many difficult times and has probably gathered many incredible skills over the journey. And what I'm learning is everybody has different skills. Everybody has a different outlook and everybody has a different way to improve their mental health. And that's what I try and do with the podcast, is give people a platform to share their story, tell me about their ups and downs, tell me what they've learned through those ups and downs, and hopefully inspire the listener to realize that these perfect life humans aren't so much perfect life humans in little speech bubbles, because they go through the same stuff and they've probably gone through just as much, if not more than a lot of people, based on to get to the top, you generally got to go through some serious struggles to get there. So yeah, that's what my podcast is all about. It's I just love having good conversations with people, to be honest. It's a great way to network and it's a great way to just talk to people. I think conversation is such an important thing that we're generally slipping away from nowadays with social media, texting and everything, phone calls, like face-to-face. Good conversations, which is how I generally record, are hard to come by nowadays. A good 45-minute no phone conversation is really nice to have with somebody. So, and I enjoy listening to them back too. So yeah, check it out if you want to have a listen to some cool conversations.
Yeah, and I've listened to a few of your episodes and it's so great. And as you said, it's social media definitely is a highlights reel. You don't really see what goes on behind the scenes, behind those closed doors, and they're just normal people like everybody else who have bad days, good days. It's not all, as you said, like what it seems from the outside. And it's very easy to fall into that comparison trap. We just assume that based on what they're posting, and it's like, oh, I wish I had that, or I wish I had that. And we don't really know, like they could be posting that because they're feeling crap and they sort of want that validation. Like, here's a really good picture of me from, 2 weeks ago. And you don't really know that it's from 2 weeks ago. So it's really good to know that having that sort of relatability with people who are that sort of higher profile.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, that everyone's got a story behind the Instagram profile and behind the achievements. So often sports stars, especially, which is what a lot of my guests have been, brought up and put through the media about their achievements. And that's what so often the community and the public base their value on, how well they're doing in their sport. And then when they're not doing well, people get, you know what I mean, the craziest online bullying and whatnot because of their performance. And it's like, you don't really know who the person is. You don't know what they're going through. And that's what hopefully my podcast can bring, is a bit of perspective to understand that we all have challenges and we all can get through them with the right people around us and with the right skill set and mindset.
100%. And I'd love to delve into some of yours. Like, you've had a surfing career. So I'd love to know, like, how did you begin surfing? We'll go to the start.
So surfing, I grew up when I was about 10. I started surfing and doing events from a very young age. And then when I was like 14, 15, 16, 17, I went to the World Surfing Games for represented Australia, and kind of was very lucky. I had a very successful junior career and then moved from there, was sponsored from about 10 years old, started getting paid when I was about 15, still at high school, which was amazing. I'm so lucky and grateful that I've had the life I have. And then when I was 18, got fifth in the World Junior Games, which got me a spot in the next World Qualifying Tour. And then, for the last 8 years, I've been traveling the world, competing on the World Qualifying Tour. And I mean, still to this day, I got home from America, Europe and France, or America, Portugal and France and Hawaii a week ago. So very lucky to still live that life and juggle both hats. But I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah. And it's amazing how, like, as you said, being paid at such a young age, it's incredible that you've been able to achieve that. What was it like sort of in those junior years? Do you think you realized, I mean, obviously to a point you realize that, oh, hey, I'm kind of good at this. Like, I could probably take this further. But what was it like being so young in such a high profile or successful career at that point?
I mean, to be honest, back then, I definitely wasn't the person I am today. I had a lot more ego back then. I was quite, like I said, successful at the end of my junior career. I got second in the Australian Junior Series 2 years in a row, heading into the world sort of tour. And I had a lot of confidence in myself and my ability. But then once you get to the world stage, it really changes. So that's kind of made me realize that there's a big wide world out there and a lot of great surfers all around the world, which is a bit of a reality check. But I mean, it's kind of built who I am today. Those losses and those difficult times have allowed me to become the human I am today and doing the work I'm doing now.
Yeah, for sure. What would you say has been some of the biggest challenges or setbacks that you've had to overcome in your surfing career?
I mean, when I lost my major sponsor when I was about 23, I got told if you don't make it on the world tour this year, I was like, I'm on the second tier tour. So it's like the top 30 in the world is the top tour. And they said, if you're not in that tour next year, you're gone. And then, the next year they're like, all right, you got to just do the regional tour and not be a pro surfer basically anymore. So that was a tough one. And then I had to do a few years of carpentry in between events to fund my surf career, which was a bit of a shock. But I mean, now I'm where I am. I'm stoked and I can't really complain with the life I get to live now, trying to juggle both hats.
Yeah, for sure. What would you say then on the flip side of that has been one of your biggest achievements so far?
I mean, to be honest, starting a business is more of a achievement for me. I mean, I've had success over the years. I probably haven't had as much success as I would have liked. There's a lot of my peers around me, but I mean, I feel like I've had a successful career compared to, I guess, a lot of people below me. So it's all in the eye of how you look at it. But the most thing I'm proud about now is the work that I'm doing, to be honest. Surfing is a very individualized sport and a very, not selfish sport, but all individual sports have some level of selfishness to them. And that's kind of been why I wanted to do what I'm doing and give back and show that it's important to use your profile for good and important to use your influence in a positive way.
Yeah, absolutely. And we touched on meditation and visualization before and how you sort of introduced that to the younger generation of surfers on a camp. When did you learn that and when did you start implementing that in your own surfing?
I mean, I learned meditation when I was like 17, 18, got introduced to it, didn't really like it, didn't really connect with it too much. And then if I'm completely like, I'd been doing it on and off for years. I understand the importance of it, but found it very hard to build that daily accountability. And I was still meditating once or twice or 2 to 3 times a week since I started the Good Human Factory. But then once I started to realize that I needed to keep myself accountable. So those 1% good clubs are a great way for me to keep myself accountable, to make sure I'm doing my meditation every day, because I understand the benefits. So yeah, I mean, for 170 days in a row now, I'm pretty much at, but for years I've understood the benefit, but it's just trying to understand what meditation works for you and can be curious and continue to try different things.
Yeah. When did you sort of start to notice the change? Like when you sort of, began doing it and on and off and then became more regular? When did you really notice the change? Like, hey, this is really working for me. It's something that I'm going to put a little bit more time into.
I mean, I've got a friend who owns a company called Mindspo, which is a meditation retreat thing in Bali, and just seeing how important it is to him. My best friend Alex Hayes is a huge advocate for meditation, and I think we just understand the benefit it has. So I think just trying to really be the best versions we can be, and knowing, for me anyway, that the mental health is something that can become a difficult thing for me. I just do it because I know how important it is for me, to be honest. So yeah, it's been a cool journey. I continually learn new things when it comes to meditation and mindfulness, but yeah, it's a journey that I'm enjoying taking.
Yeah, for sure. I think it is something, like you said, it definitely helps being kept accountable. I think those things are really important. I think what you've done with that group, that 1% club, is amazing. I think when you've got other people around you to support you, it definitely becomes like a community.
Yeah, definitely. It's nice to give people the accountability. I think it's like you're 95% more likely to continue doing something if you have an accountability group. So it's nice to build that community, not only for myself, but for everybody in them. I think we've got like 26 group chats on Instagram with 30 people in each. And it's cool to watch the individual communities thrive off each other and be inspired by each other, writing their gratitude every day. And yeah, it's good fun.
Yeah, I can imagine it would be. When you are having like an off day, what are your go-to strategies or tools to get you in a clearer space?
Meditation's big one always. I don't have that many bad days, to be honest. I try to look at things with perspective, like days are going to be good or bad, but if I can continue to keep a bit of routine, try and do like breath work and a bit of meditation and just continue be moving forward in life, I tend to not have that many bad days. But I think just being connected, being around people that make you feel good, and making sure that your friendship circle are people that support you and encourage you to do well and support you when you're having a bad day. They're the real friends that are important to have around you. But yeah, I'm very grateful and lucky that I do have those sort of people around me that I can avoid too many bad days. I'm very lucky. My life is very exciting and there's always something fun and exciting going on. So yeah, I try and just take the days as they come and yeah, keep doing those little techniques that I know are super important.
Yeah, as you said, it is definitely doing little bits each day so that it does make, the bad days less bad, I guess is a simple way of putting it.
Yeah, for sure.
We spoke about earlier a little bit about social media and how it's sort of a highlights reel. I'd love to know your thoughts on then how you sort of handle expectations and pressure in both, your surfing career and sort of the Good Human Factory. How do you sort of go about that?
My biggest thing that I learned from my psychologist about a year and a half ago, and I read a book called The Act of Confidence by Russ Harris, I think it is. And one of the quotes that stuck with me is the act of confidence comes before the feeling of confidence. And the way I decipher that is, if it's you're doing something for the first time, you've got to expect that you're not going to be good at it. You've got to expect that you're going into it as a learning experience. And because of that, I've gone into all of these. I've never spoken before my business in front of groups of people. I always kind of was a bit fearful of with public speaking, but now I run 45-minute workshops in front of 500 people on a stage, and I just kind of do it and don't really think about it. I just get up there and act like I know what I'm doing, and then that feeling generally comes once you're there. Like there's definitely little bits of nerves, but like the podcast, I just haven't really second thought stuff. One, because I know how important the work is, but two, because yeah, I just have loved that quote forever. Like the act of confidence comes before the feeling. If you're waiting for the feeling, you're never going to act.
Yeah, I haven't heard that quote before, but I think that's amazing. And it's sort of something that I guess it's sort of similar to saying fake it till you make it. You just keep, sort of doing it and just seeing what happens. And eventually it comes and you don't even realize because it just becomes second nature.
Exactly. And it's just not being, the fear of failure is such a big detriment to so many people. And I mean, every second thing I try and do, I fail, but it means 1 out of 2 does well. Whereas the person who doesn't try has nothing going well. So I just think being willing to make mistakes, learn from those mistakes, and take accountability for those mistakes. So often people make a mistake and try and blame other things. It's like, no, take a bit of perspective, have a look at why somebody's criticizing you like that. Take a look at why somebody's like even constructive criticism. So many people take it to heart and think that it's like against them, but so often people are just trying to give you advice. And even if it is nasty advice, be like, well, they're thinking that for some reason. Let me decipher that, be mature about it, and then move on.
Yeah, for sure. And, you've obviously read a lot of self-development books and have done a lot of research. Can you pick a favorite book or like a good recommendation, even if it's like 2 or 3? Have you got like a few that are like
I do.
essentials?
One I'm just finishing now is probably the biggest opener I've ever had. It's called Lost Connections by, what's his name? I can't think of his name. Lost Connections, though, it'll come up. It's a really famous book. Unbelievable, talking about it's like why you're depressed and how to find hope. Talks about, I won't go into it, just talks about like pharmaceutical companies, and more so about all the science and data that is out there now that mental health problems more often than not come from situations and trauma and the connections that we have with people around us, not a chemical imbalance. So that was a real eye-opener for me. Grit by Angela Duckworth is an amazing book. It's about just grit and determination outweighing talent. And yeah, I think that's a really good one for people who, if you want to achieve something, if you work harder than the other people, generally you're going to get there. And that's backed by a lot of data and science too. So I love that book. I mean, I could go on forever about good books, but The Confidence Gap, that's a really good one. Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty's a really interesting take. Yeah, there's so many great ones out there. If anyone's listening wants to know any more, send me a message on Instagram and I'll give you I'll send a photo of my bookshelf at my library and you guys can pick for yourself.
Yeah, there are a heap of books out there. And I think sometimes it can be overwhelming as to which to decipher good ones and which ones are sort of like not so good. So it's good to know from your perspective, like obviously, your favorite book might not be my favorite book, but still something that we can all learn from.
Definitely.
Another question for you would be, how do you define success? And do you think you've achieved it, whatever aspect of your life that you want to apply that to?
Oh, it is a hard question. I haven't thought of it like that. I mean, I definitely have still a lot more goals to achieve, but I mean, I think I'm successful. I'm happy. I'm around good people. I've got a business, like whether that's success or I've traveled the world as a professional surfer and achieved in the top 100 in my chosen sport for the last 10 years straight. So if you look at it like that, yes, I think maybe from an external views I've been successful, but then in my own head as well, like I haven't reached my goals in surfing, nowhere near. So it just depends how you want to look at it. But I'm very happy and content with where I'm at in life. I'm proud of where I've got to with my business. I'm proud of where I've got to with my surf career. You can always achieve higher, but I feel like once you put those expectations and reach them, it generally doesn't make you happy. So my success is just trying to be a good person every single day, trying to live true to my values and trying to be a good person to the people around me.
Yeah, 100%. And I like to do 3 questions in every episode. And this first one is sort of on the same sort of wavelength as that previous question. And is, what is something that you're most proud of about yourself?
Oh, I'm most proud of. I'm proud that I found a job where I can give back, but also be successful. It's something I've always found interesting, trying to be a successful business owner, but also make sure the business is about benefiting other people. It's something that I don't know, I feel like life's all about service. It's all about trying to improve other people's lives. And if I can make money and be financially successful as well, then that's a bonus. And I feel like I'm on the path to doing that. So yeah, that's something I'm very proud of. And yeah, I'm just proud that of the feedback that I've been getting and the impact and the messages I get every single day from people knowing that the organization I've done and the 1% club, I'm super proud of, to be honest. Every single day I have 700 people writing 3 things they're grateful for. It's so humbling seeing every night like this whole thing happening before my eyes, just based on me sending one little meditation and sending 3 things I'm grateful for. It's inspiring lots and lots of people to do the same. So that's what I'm super proud of.
Yeah, and absolutely something that you should be proud of. The next question I have for you, and I feel like this could be a hard one for you to narrow it down to 1 or 2, but we'll see how we go. It is, what is your favorite quote and or the best piece of advice that you've been given?
I'll just bang out straight away. The act of confidence comes before the feeling of confidence. It's a pretty simple one, but yeah, that and appreciation, not expectation. I got told that by my dad growing up every day, and it's just about appreciating what you do have rather than focusing on what you don't have, which is just gratitude and be kind to your mind. Good Human Factory slogan.
I love that. I had a feeling that like it was either going to be really straightforward or it could be like, oh, there's so many good ones I could share.
Those 3 are definitely pretty good ones.
Yeah, for sure. The last thing I have for you is any tips or advice for those that are listening.
Oh, so many. I mean, this whole chat, I think hopefully can be inspiring in certain ways to encourage people to go out there and find some things that you're uncomfortable doing. The more we can get uncomfortable when those uncomfortable situations do pop up in our life, the more we can get through them in a way without really taking a step back in life, because it's not something we want to be doing. We don't want to be in dark places. We don't want to be falling down that mental health spectrum. So yeah, I just encourage people to try and pick up some sort of skill that's going to bring positivity into your life every single day, whether it be a walk on the beach, a 10-minute meditation, join the 1% club if you want to get inspired and have an accountability group, or yeah, just be curious as to why you're feeling how you're feeling. And if you're not feeling great, try new things, try and take a bit of responsibility for how you're feeling, because no matter what, there can be people offer you advice and people offer you great resources, but unless you're willing to do some work, unless you're willing to take action, not much is going to change. So yeah, just try and find what works for you. There's so many great resources out there, whether it be looking into gratitude, looking into mindfulness, meditation, looking into kindness, studying courses, reading books. There's a million things you can do before complaining about how bad your life is. So yeah, hopefully we can inspire some people to make those positive changes.
Yeah, 100%. And for those that want to find out more about you and what you do, how can they go about finding you?
I mean, the Good Human Factory is just at the Good Human Factory on Instagram, thegoodhumanfactory.com on website, and my personal is just at Cooper Chapman. Yeah, we have the mental health page on the Good Human Factory, tries to have a whole bunch of different inspiring things, from mental health tips from faces you might recognize on our reels to doing little activations and giveaways, trying to encourage people to be involved in the community, to the 1% club, to catching up with what our ambassadors are doing. I mean, I've got such an amazing group of ambassadors now, from Storm Sanders, who competed in the Olympics with Ash Barty in the doubles for Australia, to Harley Clifford, 8-time world champion wakeboarder, to Ryan Williams, who's a top extreme sport athlete in the world. So yeah, there's all these great different resources on the website and on the Instagram and the podcast. So yeah, it's just a good little spot to come that hopefully you don't see as this big mental health thing. Hopefully you just see as a way to inspire you, and as an Instagram account that can bring some positivity into your life rather than judging and comparing ourselves to so many of the other accounts that we all tend to follow.
Yeah, absolutely. I highly recommend anyone that's listening to go check that out. So thank you so much for joining me today and sharing as much as you have. I'm sure that so many people can get, or at least learn something, or, discover something they haven't thought about before.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me. It was a pleasure having a chat. I always love sharing my story and love knowing that other people are trying to make a difference in this mental health space.
Awesome.